Yeah. So Arnold was good.
Yeah, the Arnold was a ton of fun. I was just grateful that I got to go and everything like that. I went with Chase, so we hung out at the Chase Irons Fitness booth, and that was all sorts of fun. I had clients come visit, and new friends, old friends, new clients. It was just a good time altogether. So, it's funny. I didn't even actually go to the show. I
Oh,
watched the
really?
live stream from my hotel. I'm just like, you know what, dude? Like, that's how I've always watched bodybuilding is live
Hmm.
stream. Like, it's just nostalgic for me. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, maybe next year I'll try to actually go to the show. We'll see. It was still fun. But yeah, I watched the live stream. I'm like, whatever. This is how I used to do it. So no big
Right.
deal there. But by the
Hopefully I'll
end
be
of the
there
day,
next year.
yeah, dude, that'd be a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's great. My buddy Jared was like, "Oh, we were hanging out in the Chase Iron booth," and I was like, "Wait a second, did you meet Tommy?" He's like, I think so. What did he look like?" And I was like, "Think Super Mario, but jacked and way bigger."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, I think I did." And so he like flipping through his phone, and there was like a
Yeah.
picture of all you guys at dinner. So he's like, "This guy?" I'm like, "Yep, that guy."
Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah, we chatted for a while actually. His coach was there, so I got to meet her a little bit, and I'm pretty sure he works with Todd and Karina.
No, he works with Kurt.
Oh, he is with Kurt now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay, cool.
he was with Paul and now he's with Kurt.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, Kurt and Paul were both there too. So
Mm-hmm.
that was fun to hang out with them. Um, it's always nice, catching up with them in person,
Oh,
and
I
things
bet.
like that. Yeah. So overall, lots of fun. Exhausting by the end of it.
Yeah.
You're just like, it's just a lot.
Well, I know this one's going to be a little short, so I wanted to get that Arnold recap. I guess I'll just jump in. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Bar. I'm your host, Devon Grogans. I got co-host Tommy John with me, and we are going to just dive into some Q&As today. We're going to keep it fairly short, but we got another one planned, just so we have continual content coming out for you guys. So as always, if there's anything you guys want to ask, drop it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Or you guys can reach out to us via social media if there's ever any questions you want to see answered on Beyond the Bar, which again is bodybuilding beyond the stage. It's everything that happens behind the scenes. So I'm excited to dive into it. Tommy just got back from the Arnold, had a great time, and we got some really good questions lined up.
Yeah, we got a bunch of good ones. So you go ahead and just pick which ones look good to you, and we'll just start rattling through them.
All right. Oh, this is a good. So I'm pulling some of these off of the other week since we weren't
Mhm.
able to get through nearly all of them, so it's really good. Um So here's a good one. Now that you guys have been in the game for a while, how often do you change your training split to a significant degree? I'll let you kick that off.
Yeah, so I'll start this one first. Now is different because AJ actually writes my training program.
Mm,
Yeah, so that is different for me. Um, yeah, AJ prescribes training, which is nice. I don't mind it,
hmm.
because he changes it. So I'll answer it this way first. He changes it about every 8 weeks or so, depending on what kind of block we're doing. Sometimes he'll do something more high intensity and things like that that is not going to last as long, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and then we'll cycle out of that so we're not banging things up too badly. Um, as far as me, when I was doing my own training,
Real quick, let me ask you this.
mhm,
When it
yeah,
comes to, and sorry to interrupt, I'm just
you're good.
curious. When it comes to AJ and the changing of your programming, how, I guess, significant are the changes? Is it a complete overhaul? Are you guys swapping movements for movements? Um, Is the rep range changing substantially, or is it kind of just
So here's the best thing about AJ's training.
mhm,
His influences are so similar to mine.
yeah,
So there's a lot of John Meadows feel.
okay,
There's some FST7 stuff, which I
mm,
like.
yeah,
There's some Dante Trudeau principles. So I think, AJ's just a little bit older than me. So we really did kind of grow up with the same guys.
hmm,
Um, and I feel like I can't speak for him, but just going through a few of his training programs now, they really have they have a mountain dog feel,
okay,
the little bit of Dante Trudeau stuff, some implementing some rest pause stuff, some Scott Stevenson stuff.
oh,
So
nice,
really it's all the guys that influence me and in my training. So like
mhm,
when I saw every time I see one of his programs, I'm excited because it's just so similar to what I always did anyways. And I
yeah,
think I don't want to speak for everyone, but we all kind of find ourselves in the same place. There's only so many exercises you can do at the end of the day. Um, but as far as what I did before AJ, I would have like a structured idea in mind of what I was going to train that day.
hmm,
And then I would just kind of pick movements as I went, right? If I was going to train back, I would have 4 to 5 exercises, normally alternating from horizontal to
yep,
vertical, horizontal, vertical, and then some type of stretching movements like straight arm pull over or dumbbell pull over, whatever you want to do, straight arm pull down on the ropes. Um, Chest day, is fly press,
yep,
pretty much where most people find themselves, I would say. Um, yeah, so my training before AJ, it the exercises changed a lot from week to week. So, for
okay,
example, like one week I would do incline dumbbell, and the next week I would do an incline machine. But a lot of the times I would open up after my first fly movement, I would open up with some type of incline press. So
sure,
whether that's dumbbell, Smith, machine of some kind. So I always had just like a blueprint, and then I would just kind of fit things in as it felt right that day, right?
yeah. I like that. I like that. That's not too far off from what I do. I've ran through some specific programming similar DC. I actually fell in love with DC. I think I grew the most that I have ever grown in an off season running DC training. And
Mhm.
that I honestly feel like everybody should either do DC or a Meadows program to really figure out what true intensity is.
all
Um,
of my all of my guys that want custom programming from me, I recommend that they first go buy a John Meadows program
yep,
and do a John Meadows program. So if they say, Tommy, which one? There's a beautiful comparison chart online that can
mhm,
give you ideas of how many days you want to train a week, traditional bodybuilding versus push pull legs. So check that out. The Mountain Dog Diet comparison chart.
okay.
You guys can just Google it. Yes, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, like
No,
John Meadows
no, you're good. That's a
stuff,
great point.
it's so plug and play for people. And then
Yeah.
I talked to John a long time ago and I asked him, I said, John, some of these movements don't feel great for me or I don't have the equipment. And he said, just swap it out for something
Mhm.
similar. He said, you have to remember, I wrote these programs for a grand majority of broad range people in a typical commercial gym. So he said, not everyone's going to have access to the same thing. So go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, DC and I agree. Running either DC or Meadows, there's so much variability with Meadows programming, like you said. But I think everybody should run one of those to truly. I used to think I was training hard until I started DC training, and then I figured out what true intensity was. But as far as the frequency in which I change my training, um, it really varies. I'll usually go until I stop seeing results. If I'm plateauing in a movement, then I may switch. Like if I'm doing incline bench and I plateau for a couple of weeks, I might then switch to a machine. And if I'm still in that same rep range and I'm still kind of plateauing throughout my movements, then I might switch to something that's a little bit more of an FST7 training style, higher volume. But I usually don't switch too often, maybe a few times a year. Um, and then it really just comes down to where things are at and how I'm progressing. If I'm progressing, I'm not changing anything. If
Yeah.
progression starts to slow down, or just a season in my life, like when I got back from Pittsburgh, I was so busy that I literally only had maybe 20, 30 minutes and I was training at
Mhm.
home. So I
Yeah.
went in and every day I was training 4 days a week. It was upper body push and then a lower body push, upper body pull, lower body pull. And I'd literally go in and just do three heavy compound movements, uh, two working sets of each and get out of there. And it was maybe
Mhm.
20 to 30 minutes max. Um, and that's all I had time for. So my life nowadays, my lifestyle dictates what my training regimen looks like more than more than kind of me picking it. But
Sure.
I have some more time in the gym now, so I can kind of do more of the things I want. And when I do, it's similar to what you said. I kind of have a blueprint
Yeah.
of specific movements, and then I'll go in and just kind of pick what exercise best aligns with that movement
Yeah,
for the gym.
it's like you have your macros and you fill out the meal, right? Like
Yeah.
for training, we have like a blueprint, maybe a split, and then we fill in the movements as we see fit.
Yep.
Um, and just like you have your typical um, sequence of operation as the exercises go, right?
Mhm.
So for me, I like to start with something that's kind of activating and getting
Yep.
some blood moving, getting the joints nice and lubricated, and then I'll go into something like more compound based, I would call it. And then from there, probably a second compound type
Yep.
movement. And then I'll start to get into isolation and
Yep.
stretching type movements, right? Um, yeah, I can see you nodding in agreement because I know you're like,
Yes.
yeah, we do the same exact thing.
Well, it's funny because I feel like you talk to anybody that is around the level of training age, so to speak, that we're at,
Mhm, mhm,
and you're gonna get, roughly the same answer. And that's why I don't mind touching on this topic, because I think it's good to kind of still incorporate some of this, but it just really reiterates why we have our podcast set up the way that we do.
yeah,
Because you go to 10 different podcasts, ask this question, you're going to get almost the exact same answer.
yeah, yeah,
um but it's always nice to throw them in, and I completely agree with everything you just said. And the last thing I'll say on it is, to that point, as far as being similar to having your macros and filling your meal and around it, went into the gym yesterday. It was legs, so I know second movement's going to be some sort of heavy compound. I've been
mhm,
really pushing back squats.
mhm,
I did heavy squats last Thursday, and normally I train legs on Thursday. I had to switch some things due to just schedule. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna hit legs today. Low back was tight, legs were tight. I'm like, all right, automatically we're not doing back squats. Move into
yeah,
the hack squat, move some good weight with it, but not
yep,
nearly what it would have been. So it's just like being able to say, okay, like I know I need a compound movement, and then being able to audible, so to speak, from
yes,
the heavy back squat to that. I'm still working the same muscles,
yeah,
arguably getting a better workout because I have more intensity through the hack squat being fresh there than I would be on the back squat with
yeah. It's
sore legs.
a new stimulus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
like this morning, for whatever reason, I just didn't sleep really good last night. So this morning I had to train legs, and I start hack squatting. I'm like, it's just not there, dude. So
mhm,
I hopped on the belt squat, and I had a great workout. And it's that comes with training age,
yeah,
and experience is just being able to be intuitive and call those audibles sometimes. And the nice thing is AJ gives me the reins to do that, and
that's good.
I'll just note it in my check-in, like, hey, hack squats were a no-go. The knees felt like glass, so headed over to the belt squat and it felt much better. And he'll just send a thumbs up, and he's all good with that. So
Yeah, it's important to know, like, if you're not feeling a movement, for whatever reason, make the switch. All right. I think we did good on that one. Ooh, this is a good one. Do you, I actually had a conversation with somebody the other day on this. Do you allow yourself a greater diet flexibility? So do you allow yourself more flexibility in your diet in the off season to maintain family dynamics, social and slash social relationships, or are you 100% strict year round? I already know what you're going to say, so I'm going to let you go ahead. I'll let
I
you jump in on
okay.
this too.
Okay. Um, our answers might be different here, which is kind of
Ooh,
nice.
okay.
We'll see. We'll see. I am a strict year-round type person. Um, I'm pretty dead on year-round. You know, when we were at the Arnold's, um, I had all my meals with me,
Hmm.
um, and then Chase took us out for dinner, 2 of the nights. So what I did, that meal was supposed to be steak and rice. I got steak and a plain baked potato, right? And then the next day, instead of steak and rice, I did steak and sourdough bread. So pretty darn close. That's about as flexible as I get. As far as family time, things like that, I don't need eating to be a social thing for me. It's not something I care to. It's not something I miss. I don't have an emotional attachment to it. Um, I just, it doesn't bother me. So, no, I mean, but the key is, Devin, like, if I don't look at something like, oh, I want that so bad, but I got to eat my chicken and rice, like, I don't beat myself up about it. If I want something, I'm gonna have it. But I'm to the point now where I just don't care. And my main purpose right now is to be the very best bodybuilder I can be. And if that means sacrificing um, food that I really don't even want anyways, I would literally be eating that food just to be social. And if I really wanted it, I would have it. But I don't really have a desire, like, right? Unless I'm sick. When I'm sick, I'm treating myself. I'm like, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna heal you up, with some nasty food. So go ahead. I don't want to drag it on.
No, that's good. I think we're similar, but a little bit different in the approach. And I will preface it with this, or I will say the caveat is this. I think it varies on what your goals are and where you want to be. And the
Mhm.
reason that I say that is I am somebody who, in the off season, very similar to you, um, I don't need food for a social gathering. I don't care if it's Thanksgiving. I don't, if I have a goal in mind, I'm 100%.
And
So
there's
this
there's
last year,
already there's already so much food that you're
oh yeah,
eating in the off season. It's like if you have an off meal, you're not going to get all your food in for the rest of the day. So you're
yep.
going to shoot yourself in the foot. Keep going. What'd you do last year?
Yeah, so last year being that it was, hey, this is going to be my last run into my, potential pro card, everything counted. My off season was treated the same way as my on season. In the past, even then, I would say I would run about 90%. I would follow my meal plan to the T in the off season, but similar to like what you said, I wouldn't restrict myself if I really wanted something. If I got my chicken and rice meal in, and I was like, "Oh, that cupcake looks pretty good." And I was genuinely, and this is the big difference. If you're truly hungry
Hmm.
versus I want that just to have it.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
was a big difference for me. Is in the past, I would eat out of just, I wouldn't even call it enjoyment. I'd be like, "Oh, there's pizza. Pizza sounds good. I'm going to eat pizza." And then I wouldn't
Hmm.
eat, my dedicated meal that I was supposed to eat,
Yeah.
and I didn't change. I didn't
Yeah.
see much change. It wasn't until I started treating my off season like the prep that
Hmm.
I started seeing more growth. So no, you do not have to stay 100%, I would say, but
No.
also be okay with the more flexible. And it's funny because I actually just created a post that is scheduled to post tomorrow,
Oh, good.
with my current diet adherence. And there's 70 right now. I'd say I'm about 80%.
Hmm.
And I'm not prepping. I wouldn't even say I'm in off season. I'm just living
Hmm.
life.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
for the first probably 6 months of post show, I was still 90 to 100%, and my body definitely showed it. Then at about 75 to 80%, a little bit looser diet,
yeah. Hmm.
you can see a difference. And I would say I'm running about 70 to 75% now. I still eat all my meals. The biggest
Hmm.
difference, and it's funny because when I say my diet's loose, it means when I come home for
Yeah,
dinner and my
yeah.
wife makes something, I'm fitting that meal into whatever my kind of pre-planned macros are. And we eat I mean, it's still single ingredient foods
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
for the most part. So for me, loose is a relative term to most people, but you don't need to be 100% strict. However, depending on your goal, the more regimented you are, the better your results are going to be come
Hmm.
prep time, come show time. Everybody, so many people, and this is one thing that I wish I would have just not been so hard-headed about earlier in my
Hmm.
career, and I
Hmm.
would have made progress so much quicker. Everybody thinks that the magic's in the prep. The magic's not in the prep. The
Mm-mm.
magic is in everything you do leading up to the prep, which is your off
Hmm.
season. The better your off season is, the better your prep will be, the better your results will be. Prep
Yeah.
is not magic. All you're doing is getting lean. You're removing food. Everything else is done. It's bodybuilding.
Hmm.
Everything else is done on the
Yeah.
backside. It's
Yeah.
the food that you're eating in your off season. It's the training. Everybody wants to push so hard in prep, but then
Yeah.
they
Prep
take
should
off
be
and train it.
easier.
Yeah, they take off and
You-
train at about 60% in the off season. I'm like, why are you
yeah.
not pushing right now?
Yeah. Yeah. Prep should be easier. You have to do one less thing, which is eat a lot of food, right?
Yeah,
Um, I want to add two things to that. When someone asks me a question like this, are you more flexible in the off season? I want them to know that I'm strictly answering for myself.
right.
And that doesn't mean that I think everyone has to be that way. So I want to make that clear because I do that for my own specific reasons. The second thing I want to add, and this is my last thing, and then we can move on, is when you're first starting this stuff, and let's say you're pretty out of shape, you know, um, get in shape first.
Hmm.
Sacrifice, make the sacrifices. I know you want to celebrate your wife's new job, and I know you want to celebrate her birthday with her, but you want to go out with your friends. Sometimes you want to watch the football games. Get in shape first, do the grueling, hard work to get actually lean, and then you can have flexibility. But if you've never been in shape in your life, you need to learn the discipline of how to get there. You and I have already been there. If we wanted to be a little bit what we would call loose, we could. Um, Someone that's never been lean ever, you got to get lean first. You got to earn that right to have that flexibility. And I really think being strict up front, learning that discipline, and then learning the flexibility later. I think it's so hard to learn them at the same time.
Yep, and that's what I did. I did it the
Hmm.
hard way, and if I could go
Yep.
back and do it again, I would do it completely different
Yep.
because it fast tracked me once I did exactly what you're talking about.
100%.
So that's yeah, well put. Ooh, I'm gonna save this one for our second to last. How are we doing on time right now?
We got 6 o'clock right now. So let's see. Yeah, we still got time. I'm good.
Two more questions. We got time for two
Yeah.
more. Okay,
Yeah. Let's do
so
two.
here's a good one. This one is at what point? Uh, okay, at what point in a prep does your relationship with your spouse start to change?
I remember
And
this
then
one.
what's that?
I remember this one. Yeah.
And then this one specifically to you. Do you worry about it at all with having a newborn?
Okay.
And
Um,
they're speaking to the relationship with your newborn. I have two kids, so I'll just relate it to mine, but
okay. Do you want me to start?
I'll jump in this one.
Yeah, go
So I
ahead. You start.
sure. So I think that communication is key. I have now done 12 shows, 12 total
Mhm.
shows, I think,
Mhm.
and the first four were rough, really rough, because I was I wouldn't say I'm some. There was only one instance where I could say I was kind of an asshole, and my wife shut that down real quick. For those that don't know my wife, she's a very nice person, but she is not somebody that will hold her tongue. She will speak her mind, and she's not mean about it.
Mm-mm.
She's gonna say things how they are, and I love her for that. And I will never forget. I was sitting at my desk, and I snapped, like, just, 3 weeks out, pretty hungry, um no excuse, but got mad at the kids for something really wasn't that big of a deal, and she walked over to me and she said, I don't know what you're taking or what you're doing or what you're not eating, but whatever it is, you better figure it out, or this is going to be an issue. And it was that, like, low tone white, like, not yelling where you're even in more trouble. And I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's
okay,
just
okay.
disappointed. She's not mad.
Yeah. Oh, she was both. She was both,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
fact that she wasn't yelling made it even worse.
yeah.
So,
That's
so
terrifying.
yeah. So at that point, I was like, okay, I need to self audit, which is something that I recommend to everybody, is self audit. Before you do anything, if something is irritating you, ask yourself, is this worth getting upset over? Is it
Hmm.
really worth getting upset over? And that's something that's helped me out. The other thing that really helped me out is communication. And not only do I self audit, but I um, spouse audit. And so every couple of weeks with her, I would just sit down and say, hey, how do you feel things are going? Are there any areas that I can help out with that I'm not helping out with? Are there any areas that I'm falling off that you feel like I'm not withholding my end of the relationship? Um, and so that has helped a ton, just that open communication. And I found just in doing that, I'm more conscious, not only about my own emotional feelings. And if the kids do something, I'm like, okay, like internally, I'm like raging.
Hmm.
Externally, I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal. And I move on. And then with her, it's like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I think I'm doing this really good. And she's like, well, I could use your help in these two areas. I'm like, well, shit, I thought I was doing that. Okay, I will be more mindful of, taking out the trash or doing the dishes, whatever that is. And those
Hmm.
two things made a night and day difference in our relationship.
Hmm.
I will say, when it comes to the boys, my biggest thing is just trying not to press what I'm doing onto them and trying to keep things as normal as possible. Like, we still go out to eat. I might not eat with them, or I will find something that I can eat there at a place that I know is pretty, prep friendly.
Hmm.
Um, but everything stays the same. I really try not to do the, oh, I'm too tired to go hang out with you guys. Like, their their choice. It wasn't their choice to prep. It was mine. So I
Hmm.
make more of a
Hmm.
conscious effort to make sure I'm doing all of the things I would still do outside of prep. So
Yeah, no, that's you took a lot of my answers, which is good. Um, read the first part of the question to me one more time. I want
yeah,
to make sure I answer it clearly.
yeah.
Okay.
At what point in prep does your relationship begin to change?
Okay. Um, mine doesn't, with exception to prepping with a pregnant spouse. That was the only prep that was hard for us. My preps, my competition preps do not change my relationship at any point. I don't allow it to. It's not a factor. Um, there are conversations put in place like, hey, things are going to get tough this
Yes,
next week. So let's say, I don't know, if I had to give it a mark, let's say the 6 week out mark, right?
I would probably say,
Listen,
yeah, 4 to 6
y-
weeks. I would agree.
yep. So, Amanda, next week we're going to make some changes and things are going to get tough for me. I just want you to know that that is coming. Um, so just be on the lookout for things like that. Check me if you need to, everything like that, right? Um, just having those conversations ahead of time, so that's not a built-in excuse to act like an asshole, right? But there are times where your energy is low during prep, and you need to communicate those things and not take it out on anyone, but you just
Mhm.
need to be honest about it. Like, listen, I'm just not feeling good right now, right? Um, I've had times where I've gone on walks, just to clear my head. Like, hey, I'm just going to take the dog for a walk. And that's very helpful. There's no offense taken from her, anything like that. But if I ever do find myself in a situation where I am feeling off or like I could snap, I self audit, right? Just like you said. And I catch that very, very quickly. It's not something. Listen, I'm a serviceman, right? I do heating and air, and I'm a coach. Everything I
Mhm.
do is about delivering service. It's about communicating, building relationships. So, me prepping cannot interfere with any of those things, including the relationship in my home, right? Um, so I don't treat it any differently than any relationship. I'm not going to lose my job because I get mad at someone, a customer at work. I'm not going to lose clients because I'm prepping. I'm certainly not going to ruin my marriage over it. Um, so no, at no point in prep do things change for me. The pregnancy was a totally different ballgame. Um, and that was just both of us running on zero, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't just me running on zero anymore, you know. But as a couple, you share an energy bar, right? And you know, one of you may be running at 20%, but listen, the other's got your back. Like, hey, I got 60% to give. You got 20. We'll be okay on 80% right now for today. Um, next day comes along. Maybe you're both recharged. Maybe you're up to 50. Maybe she's 70, 80%, and you're 100 plus. So by the end of the day, you're probably still good. During pregnancy, for her, it was different. Her energy bar was low, mine was low. So I couldn't make up the difference
Mhm.
and supplement her, right? We were both just running on, fumes. And that was a challenge for us. But it's nothing. We've built a foundation so when things like this do come up, it's a non-issue, right? Um, so yeah, that without getting too wordy, that's basically my simple answer is it doesn't change at any point. There's times where I will have to check myself and make sure that she's good, everything's good. That should be happening on a regular basis. Bodybuilding, no bodybuilding, anyways. Hey, everything's cool. How was your day? How was your week? You need me to help you with something, or just go help with something, don't even ask, right? Because if you
Mhm.
ask, they have to make another decision. So now you actually just added work to them. So that's a little tip for at home.
That's a good one.
Watch what your wife is doing and know that, hey, maybe I could do that for her. Make sure you do it right. But hey, maybe I
Yeah.
could do that for her and just take something off her plate. Um, so that's something to think about in prep too. Um, don't lose the ability to help around the house and things like that.
I
You
actually
touched on
preferred
that.
it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
preferred it because we would get done eating and I would still be starving. And by me
yep,
doing literally by me doing the dishes,
yeah,
cleaning the table, cleaning the kitchen, by the time I was done with all of that, it was almost time to eat again. So it was just
yeah,
one less thing of just sitting there like, okay, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm
yeah,
hungry. It's
exactly.
just, yeah, I'm mindlessly just moving things and doing
Yeah,
everything. Next thing I know, it's like, oh, cool, 20 minutes, I eat again.
yeah, exactly. To touch on the topic of my son Landon and our relationship moving forward as far as bodybuilding goes, it's not going to affect that relationship. I won't let it. If it did, I would give up bodybuilding. I would literally give up bodybuilding if I saw it going down the route of that. I'm not worried about it at all. I'm excited about it. I want to show him what discipline and hard work looks like. That doesn't mean it's not always physical and things like that. I just want to show him if you have a goal, Whatever the goal is, you put in the work, you put in the hours, you make the sacrifices, and that could lead to something good, right? And you keep showing up. All the lessons that bodybuilding taught me, I can teach him through bodybuilding, even if he never picks up a weight in his life. He will watch that process and he will learn to understand it subconsciously or consciously, right?
Hmm.
He will see end results. Maybe he'll see a pro card one day like you did, right? Don't tell me your sons don't understand that, what that took and things like
Oh
that.
man, my son the other day hit me in the hit me in the feels real hard. He was
Yeah, I
we were
bet.
getting ready to
Choke
go
on
to
your
a
tongue.
oh yeah, we were getting ready to go to a church thing, and he's just standing in the hallway staring at me, and I'm like, "What's up, buddy? We're leaving." He's like, Dad, I just want to tell you, I think you have a pretty cool life." And I said, "Oh yeah?" And he said, "Yeah, you're a YouTuber," which is funny. He's like, "You're a YouTuber, you're a professional bodybuilder, you're in really good shape. We have a great family and we have a great house, and I just hope that that's how my life is one day." And I was like, "Oh man."
Yeah,
And
dude.
I was at his school today, and one of the teachers came by and was like, "Oh, you must be Grayson's dad." And I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "I have to tell you, your son is so proud of you. All of the things he tells us in the class, and he was so excited when you got your professional bodybuilder." I forgot what she called it,
Sure.
um, but yeah, I mean, it made I was just like, man, I didn't even realize to that degree.
That's how I look at bodybuilding in my relationship with Landon is I want to set an example. Like I
Yeah.
said, even if he never plans on bodybuilding, that's not even a factor. It's
Yep.
everything that bodybuilding teaches us. It's all the
Hmm.
lessons that can be applied and are applied to every other, area of our life. So yeah, there's no concern there. And there's nothing like what you just received as a compliment,
Oh
right?
yeah,
That's got to feel crazy.
it was awesome. All right, we got two. We'll do one more. We got some other really good ones that we'll save for next time, but we got one
Okay.
more that I want to touch on. It'll be a fun one. And then I have my question of the day for you.
Okay, cool.
So this one is top five, but I'm gonna drop it to the top two.
Okay.
He said, "What are your top five most memorable skip load meals?" But we'll say top two um, that you've used.
Um Memorable as in like nostalgia
He
or
just he put memorable meals with friends, family, whatever. So I'll leave it up to you. I kind of have an idea of two that come to mind if you want me to go first.
yeah, you go ahead first.
Okay. So well, I'll
They're,
give
they're,
two and a
they're
bonus.
probably we probably have one in common, I would say. So go ahead.
I think so. So number one most memorable, I was actually looking back through my phone when Instagram shows you like you posted this on this day. And it was one of my load meals, and I kid you not, I was like, "Oh, I don't ever really track my load meals." And it's something that Skip even says, like, don't worry about track.
Hmm.
I would do it for fun sometimes just to be like, I wonder how many
Same.
calories this is.
Yeah.
Um, and I look back, so the meal itself was these are Belgian waffles, so not like Eggo waffles, four waffles, two breakfast sandwiches consisting of chicken sausage, whole egg whites, and English muffins, four plate-sized pancakes, a muffin, and it was like a blueberry scone or something. I think it tipped it. Oh, and then scrambled eggs with turkey sausage and cheese. And I think it tipped in around like 4,200 calories or something stupid. And then I had two more load meals that same day, and
Hmm.
inevitably lost weight the rest of that week. So that was
Hmm.
number one. That was kind of nostalgic, just in like, I can't believe I ate that much food. The second one is one we'll probably have in common. It was I went to go visit Skip in Florida, and we went to a Miami Marlins game, or a Miami Marlins game, and I think we ate nothing but burgers that entire day. Like, before we left, we went to a burger spot then he's telling me about a spot that we had to try that one, they call it Sobe Fest, but it's like Southern Florida burger something. So we went there, and I think I paid for that one because I said I'll pay for dinner, you took care of the tickets. It was a A5 Kobe beef burger. Um, and so it was two of those. We got two of their regular burgers, and then his wife got just like a regular burger, and we shared some truffle flat fries. $125. So it was the most expensive burger, which made it memorable.
Yeah.
And then we hit up a burger spot after, and then went and got like some crazy ice cream cookie sandwich thing. So that
Yeah.
was probably, I know that's a multitude of meals, but that's the second most memorable um that I could think of.
Yeah, my most memorable off the top of my head is the first time I actually met Skip in person. We went to Sweet Diner downtown Milwaukee, um, and it was the very first time I met him. You don't know what to expect when you're meeting someone for the first time. Um, and we went and we had French toast and pancakes
You've
and all
told me
sorts
about
of
that
stuff.
place so many times
Yeah,
too.
yeah, it's very, very, very good. But it was cool because we spent a lot of time just talking
Hmm.
and learning about each other, and that's where we first kind of like realized like we have a lot in common. And
Yep.
this was my first year working with him, so um didn't know what to expect of him as a person. And obviously, through our history now, we're all good friends. You're friends with Skip. I'm friends with
Hmm.
Skip. We know what kind of person he is, and um, man, we're I'll speak for you. We're so grateful for him and
Oh,
to have him as a friend. So that's definitely my number one. Um, Number two, like just just skip loading in general brought so much fun to certain times, right? You look forward to that Sunday, especially with a partner, and family and stuff like that. You look forward to those days because
mhm.
um, someone talked about being flexible and things like that. And like skip loading is a way to do that. So as far as memorable, I mean, yeah, I've had some. I can look back at some of my skip loading, like look at my old check-in forms to skip and stuff, and I would see 6 meals of just like, man, I look at these now and I'm like, I have no idea how I ate them
Yeah.
first. Second, I have no idea how a human can consume that much
Yes.
food, So yeah, that's all in all, it's just a fun time. And it's effective at the same time. So how do you disagree with that?
I love it. I love it. And I will say the first time I met Skip, it was in Florida. I think I had gotten in at like 1 a.m. and I was going to just stay at the airport until like 9 or 10 in the morning. And he's like, no, just come stay. I said, okay. And I got there. I think we ended up talking till almost like 5 o'clock in the morning. Um, but the first thing I remember is I opened the door, and I remember thinking, I'm like, he looks really dark. And I'm like, I think
Yeah,
that's just, and I
yeah.
open the door and I see him, and I'm like, this motherfucker's darker than me.
He is dark. Yeah,
Because not only
yeah.
does he tan, he lays out by the pool, melanatin, and I'm just like, I think I told him like I didn't think you were this dark.
Yeah, no, so I was training with him and my wife Amanda at it was is it Busybodies or whichever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was coming back from the bathroom and I saw this guy talking to Amanda and I'm looking across, I'm like, there's no way that's Skip. And like I'm like, I had no idea he was that dark. Like, because we were outside all day and then I see him
Hmm.
inside and I'm like, okay, he's not even a white dude anymore. Like he's not even
Yeah.
close to it. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
I love it. Um,
Yeah, me
all
too.
right. So we'll wrap it up on this. This is my question for you. What is your idea or what do you feel the difference is between a goal and a dream?
Okay. I like that. Oh, a goal and a dream. Um, well, they're both achievable. Uh, they're both achievable. I think the word dream um, makes it feel like it's not achievable. It seems bigger than a goal, but a goal is you set things in place. You put a plan in place to execute a goal. The dream is linking goals together and winning all your goals. That leads to the dream. So the dream is the big picture. Okay. It took me a minute to compute and calculate all that. So
Can you
executing
give
a
an
plan.
example?
Yeah, sure. Um, Executing a plan, checking off boxes every day leads to the goal, right? You accomplish the goal, multiple goals lead to the dream. Um, an example would be, um, yeah, I mean, so I come from a family that we weren't poor, right? But we just didn't come from a lot of money.
Hmm.
Um, so my goal, even as a young kid, was to know I didn't want to live that way forever, right? Um, so I always put a plan in place to achieve little goals each year to make more money, to pay off more debt, um, and to, you know, establish more and more freedom. Um, have I reached the dream yet? No, but I'm still hitting bigger goals each day. Um, I have, a beautiful marriage with a healthy son. I have very, very little debt, right? Um, I'm in a situation where I don't I don't even know how I got here, so it feels like a dream.
Hmm.
And that was because of me just always executing my goals, staying on plan, and just checking boxes nonstop. I just don't stop. I just keep showing up, and that's what leads to the dream is just hitting all the goals along the way. Right? They're just checkpoints.
So I gotta
That's
say, I was listening to an audiobook the other day and this came up, and the way
mm,
you explained it blows what was said out of the water. I mean, it was
interesting.
essentially the same, but the way
Okay,
you said it was tenfold better. Um, and I can't agree more. For me, to put it into like bodybuilding perspective, which is kind of how I was thinking about it in the context to which they were speaking, it was more sports minded.
sure.
Um, but to your point, and kind of what I had written down was my goal for bodybuilding was a pro card that's achievable by um you can, well, what's the word I'm trying to think of, you can touch it, right? It
It's
you can
measurable. It's
thank you, yes,
achievable.
it's
Yep.
measurable,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
measurable. So a goal is measurable, whereas a
Mhm.
dream is subjective. My dream was to improve every show and build the best physique that I could.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so that's only measurable and subject or objective to me. Just
Yeah.
like to you, your dream is to, be, in the way that you said, be debt free and live the best lifestyle you can live. Well, only you can decide what the best lifestyle is. Your
Mm.
goal,
Mhm.
is to be debt free. That's measurable. If you don't have
Yeah.
any debt, you don't have any debt. So that's
Yeah.
all. No, that was really good. That's I wanted to throw that one at you and you nailed it. So
Cool. I like your answer too. That gives me something to think about, Um I really like that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we should write a book and we can
right.
we can outsell that audiobook. Which book was it?
Oh man, it's by a former. Major League Baseball play inner excellence. And so it really
Okay.
talks about getting your training your mind for better
Mhm.
performance. And
Cool.
so it's just different things like breathing techniques,
Mhm.
um looking at yourself from the outside in, how to disassociate yourself with performance, and just different things like that.
Yeah.
I had posted the other day, and I think you might have commented on it, but I asked if there's two runners. This is one of the questions that he talks about, and then he goes into further
Mm,
detail. But if there's two
okay.
runners running a race, runner A runs the best race of his life by PRing, runner B wins the race but does not PR. Who
Yeah.
ran the better race? And it's not who
Mhm.
won. I had a ton of people that were like, obviously runner two. I'm like, but
It's
did he
not
run the
obvious.
better race?
Yeah. Yeah, here's the comparison, for people that don't understand for some reason. Um, you have two really close friends. One of them gives you $500, and they're like, Devon, I just want to give you this gift. You've been a good friend. Here's $500. And your other friend hears about it, so he gives you $50. And you're like, well, I mean, obviously the guy that gave 500 was more, you know, it was a bigger gift. It was more thought about, and it was heartfelt. And man, $500, that's a big gift. This guy gave me 50. Come to find out, that guy gave you his last $50, right? He literally he had $50. He had $49. He had to borrow a dollar to give you his last 50. Um, and your other friend, $500, he probably found it on the side of the street or in a pair of pants or something. Um, so that would be the comparison of, yeah, the other person won the race, but maybe it was a local race, a warm-up show for the big race coming up, and it was no big deal to them. And then that one person, that was their, let's call it bodybuilding sense, that was their Olympia. you
Yep.
know it's just it's always going to be perspective like that. So yeah, I really love that post when you made it, because I'm just like, I know where he's at with this.
Hmm.
AJ is huge on training the mind and breathing
Yeah.
exercises like the book you were talking about. So very cool stuff.
Yeah. Worth checking out. Well, that does it for another episode of Beyond the Bar. Tommy, let them know where they can reach you.
Yeah, Tommy John Coaching on Instagram, TommyJohnCoaching.com. And then you can find me and the Chase Irons Discord. So you can go over to Chase Irons on YouTube, join his membership, and link up in the Discord. We talk about a lot more of the bodybuilding stuff in there. So that's where you can pick my brain on the things and ideas, and um, more X's and O's type thing. So
For sure. And then for those that want to inquire, just follow dgrow39 on Instagram, or you can find me at nxtlevel-training.com. That does it again for Beyond the Bar with Tommy John and Devin Grogans. We'll catch you next time.